Thanks for that. The U.S. Supreme Court decided to reject key parts of Arizona's immigration law.
But it left the most controversial part intact. The court upheld the provision which said police must check the status of people stopped for any reason if they appear to be in the country illegally. Immigration rights groups are disappointed. They call it racial profiling. You can now expect this issue to come up more during the presidential election. The White House says it is happy with the ruling, but concerned about that provision, the one that requires local law enforcement to check for immigration status. While Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney commented by criticizing the Obama administration for failing to enact a clear immigration policy. And today's decision on Arizona's immigration law is prompting lots of local reaction.
And Fox 6's Brandon Cruz live in the studio with more on this developing story. Brandon.
Well, State Representative Don Pridemore had introduced a much smaller bill that was somewhat similar to Arizona's SB 1070. He says his bill, AB 173, was only focused on illegal immigrants who committed crimes. But this decision by the Supreme Court has him wondering if states like Wisconsin or Arizona have any rights after the ruling. And it has a Milwaukee group that advocates for Latinos worried that it doesn't protect individuals' rights.
To me, it doesn't solve any problems, and it really calls into question of state sovereignty as well, and whether or not that's going to continue with the Supreme Court. It makes you wonder, what can the states do when the federal government refuses to enforce their own laws?
Obviously, we're very pleased that the Supreme Court ruled that the state SB 1070 went too far in saying that they could create their own rules around immigration law. But it is a serious and disturbing attack on the fundamental rights of people to have their civil rights protected, in that it does essentially say that the police can stop someone based on the reasonable suspicion that they look like they could be undocumented.
Christine Newman Ortiz of Voces de la Frontera says this opens the door for racial profiling, especially against people with an accent or dark skin or a Latino name. As for Pridemore, he isn't sure if he'll reintroduce his bill during the next session. And Mary?
We'll see what happens. Thank you, Brandon. It is back.